Open Borders plan to entrench single-party rule, explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
Yeah, so we're back here again. Another episode of Horchata Time. We're still figuring this out, guys. We're learning as we go. Work in progress. But yeah, we're missing our buddy Alex Alfaro today.
Shout out to you, bro.
Shout out, Alex.
Yep. So he wasn't able to make it, but we're here holding down the fort. I'm Isaac Galvez. And here with our boy here, Eli. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, y'all? Eli Martinez. You already know. Just right here for another podcast. Talk about the truth, but above all, to talk about that video that Alfred just played. Say what's up, Alfred.
What's up? What's up, everyone? Finally, man. Hey, they allow me to put a camera in here, bro. It's a little dark, but you know what? That's the way I like it, bro. I like to be in the dark when nobody can see. No, listen, that video right there is so powerful. It's actually done by Western Lesman. And actually, he produced this video. It says there on his tweet account, it already has 1.1 million views, and it's been pushed. It was actually pushed by Elon Musk on his Twitter feed, or now known as X account. And so, man, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna break it down. What do you guys think about this, man? I mean, hey, Alex is gonna be bringing the tin hat here pretty soon, but can we somehow think this is happening here?
Well, yeah, we started off with conspiracy theories right out the gate this time, but I think any reasonable person can look at that video, and I mean, it's just common sense and logic, which is what we talk a lot about here in our conversations. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously what's going on right now. I think obviously what we look at the landscape right now with the support or lack thereof of Sleepy Joe Biden, and the fact that I think it's pretty clear, at least at this point where we're at in the race, that he's not getting the support. I think the writing's on the wall. And, the interesting thing is not like this is something that was planned like yesterday or a month ago, or 2 months ago. I was actually coincidentally watching, I don't know if you guys have heard the Sean Ryan show. Yeah, big podcast. He has a lot of really good guests on there. And he actually had this guy, Michael Yon, on there, and this guy Michael Yon, he's like a ex Green Beret, I think. Yeah, he's a veteran. I can't remember which brand, but he's now like a war correspondent. And on the interview, I haven't actually finished it because his podcasts are super long, but he's been going over to the Darien Gap since, he said, the day, I think it was the day of or the day after Sleepy Joe was elected, and he started going out there because he already realized they were already setting up this influx of illegal criminal aliens coming into this country, right? So these they were staged already at the border. If you guys remember, let's go back in time, right? They were already staged. You had all these people. If anybody even went to Tijuana during that time, but I would ask you to go to Rosarito a lot during that time, and you would see like the camps already there. Because if you remember, during the Trump administration, or right in the beginning of his administration, they were coming in trains. You'd see the big caravans coming through. And then as soon as they locked it down, I mean, they had nowhere to go. But those people rode it out. They wrote it out there all 4 years of Trump. And as soon as Sleepy Joe was elected and was sworn in, immediately, this guy, he talks about immediately the people started coming through the border. It was instant. It was within hours.
Somehow, like if they knew, huh?
Well, I mean, it's just interesting, right? And he's made a lot of trips over to the Darien Gap, which is in Colombia, which it's a major route to come to South America and work your way up into Mexico. And he's been visiting there since, because he already kind of anticipated they had a plan and this is how they were going to do it. Right. And he's actually been documenting pictures, videos. He actually has it on the Sean Ryan show. And he shows how they went from having, a makeshift little camp spots where they would rest,
right,
to now they have a full infrastructure, buildings out there. They're actually building bridges. And now I'm not talking little stick bridges, like full on nice bridges to come through. And it's people from all over the world. Wow. Right. So, logically, this isn't something that you just decide to do, within the last 6 months or a year, where you're looking at the polls and saying, yeah, how are we going to overcome the fact that we have no support? The people have woken up, or at least enough people have woken up to where, we don't have the supporter base, right? They've lost the black vote, it seems. We won't know until election time. But I think when you look around on social media, you talk to your friends, any black friends that you have, before, they hated Trump. Now it's actually cool,
right,
to like Trump.
He's the new here's a good phrase that they're saying now. The orange is the new black.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how you said about this stuff, because it's like, bro, why wasn't this happening during the Trump era? And now it's happening. Like, what I don't understand, and it's hard for me to comprehend, is why. It goes down to why. Why? And just as we saw this video, and we'll break it down, that makes perfect sense. And I think we were talking about it last time, Alfred and us and Alex, is congressional seats. Yep. That's the main power. Is when you have power in Congress, that's the number one thing. So, but I just don't understand, right, how people don't see this as a bad thing. Like, you don't know what you're doing until you actually realize what you're doing, bro. Until you realize and see you're giving power to government. And just like how you guys said before we were talking, right? With Alfred had said it earlier, and Alfred, take the wheel on this one, right? When you said that they flood congressional seats and become a uniparty, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, think about it. I grew up in the 1980s and 1970s, so I can attest to to some of the things that are happening now. And I was actually sharing with Isaac, offline, and I was telling him, "Hey, bro, do you remember 1982?" And he was like, "No, what happened?" And because we, we're from Mexican, we're Mexican descendant, okay. So we kind of understand, what is happening now. And I just popped a question, like 1988, in 1982, of course, you guys know we were being managed by a socialist party, which is called El PRI, right, back in Mexico. And we knew that this party was being in control for so many years. Think about it. They were already in control for 30 years. And I'll get to your question real quick, but because it comes with the history, so you understand why I'm saying this. The Socialist Party of El PRI was actually very well in control. And they were full control for about 20 years. You're talking about the 1970s, 1972s, 1980s. You start looking into it, and they're continually being in control. Until 1988, in 1988, you start seeing a popular vote. This is where in 1988, you think about it, read about it. It's actually the presidency of Carlos Salinas de Gortari with this brother by the last name of Cárdenas, right? And then you start seeing there was a battle, a debate, and it was going into the voters, right? But you start seeing how popular Cárdenas was, and he was he was controlling all the labor, all the, you're talking about all the people. The popular vote was he was in full control of it.
So there was no way this guy was going to lose. There
was no absolute way. that this guy
would have lost. Like you're
No.
like, there's no way you're
negative. You're looking at the polling.
Wow.
You're looking at the votes. The votes are going at about 60%. That are being geared. Remember, in Mexico, you're gauging everybody that goes above 53, 56%. Man, you're considered to be the winner, right?
Like you're already, the odds are in your favor.
The odds are completely in your favor. So and you think about it, 8 p.m. comes, you start seeing the news, you start seeing all these things that are happening in the news, and the media outlets are already saying this guy is so popular, he's bringing it home, right? And it reminds me, it takes me back to, something that happened not too long ago in 2020.
Careful.
And I got to be careful because, in the same amounts, you can look this up. It's available. There's actually a series that was brought in, Mis Ochentas by VIX. It's actually a network in Espanol. Yes, it's owned by Univision. But you know what? It's kind of those hidden files that you find and you get lucky. It's like a pearl, right? You get to see exactly how it was back then. And you start understanding some of the movement in politics in Mexico, and you start just seeing everything piece by piece. So anyhow, back to your question, how do I know, the congressional votes? Well, guess what? You influx people so much, right? Or in that case, in that time, 1988, you have so much of a popular vote. There's no reason why you should lose unless you cheat. So when you cheat,
what does this sound like, right? Like you saw how they're trying to get more congressional seats, right, Alfred? What do you call that word that it starts with a C when a party wins by majority?
It's called communism, bro. When you start looking at everything and how you're preparing the way, and Isaac hit it right in the nail. When you start influx people and you start bringing in all these, there's one party control. It's communism. You know what I mean? Socialism. I call it that. And again, I was able to see. I saw this, and you start seeing the history of Mexico since 1917, right? With the Russian, influence into the revolution with Zapata and all this stuff. You start understanding the concept of how communism works and how it infiltrates itself into socialism, revolution, right? We're starting to see this now with BLM, right? Back in 1990s, the Mecha Club. So we start seeing these things already, and I'm already seeing it, right? And I'm not that, again, I'm a Gen X. So I'm able to see the writing on the wall that this is dangerous. This is happening to
what's scary,
our nation,
Alfred,
right?
is that you're an older generation, right? It's sorry to cut you off, but you can see it already. Isaac can see it already. You guys are like, bro, we've seen this movie before, right? You've seen this before.
We're seeing it. We are seeing it, man. And it's scary, you guys. America, get ready, man. Get ready, because it's happening. No, we're not trying to scare you.
But yeah, no, it's the truth. I mean, that's what we've been saying the whole time. It's not about conspiracy. It's the truth, guys. Like, if these old timers respectfully can see this happening and say it, bro, we've seen this before. It just all in the name of democracy now. Then wake up. They just changed the name. Go ahead, Isaac. My bad.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't want to misrepresent anything. I obviously haven't seen anything like what we're dealing with right now.
Oh, okay.
As far as an open border and having a whole populace or citizens being replaced by illegal migrants, right? So that's really what they're doing. I think what Alfred's referring to is just the cycle of how we've seen before where other governments, especially in Mexico, where the corruption has been there much longer, right?
Yeah,
so
true.
the corruption
Facts.
has been there much longer than it is here, and it's been so much more blatant that when you go to Mexico, you kind of see the more mature version of the destruction that those policies cause, right?
100%.
I mean, if you take, for example, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Alfred, but I believe Mexico's constitution does allow them to bear arms, right? I believe their constitution does give them...
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they have the right to bear arms, but the issue is that the laws have basically, like we've talked about before, made it impossible for them to actually own a gun, right? I think you have to... It's a very specific... my understanding is even just to sell firearms, I heard there's only like one arms store or something like that in the DF, I think.
That's true.
Yeah,
Am I right about that?
That's true. That is true.
Sorry to interrupt. Mexico Constitution, Article 10 of the Mexican Constitution, citizens can possess arms and guns in their homes for security and self-defense purposes.
Yeah.
Right, but we'd probably have to read the laws to see why it's so difficult because nobody has them, right?
Well,
I think you have to be part of the military or be a veteran. It's very specific. You know, it's go ahead, Alfred. I think
no. I was gonna say it's exactly what how you mentioning now. Look, listen. Even though that it's in the Constitution, right? It's in the Constitution, Second Amendment for us. But think about it. It's in the Constitution, but how it's controlled internally by each state. So individually, you have different states that have control. So guess what? What's beneficial, right? So you have these taxations, right? You have these fees. So can you imagine? You have all these. You're entitled. You're entitled to get your gun,
But it's going to be impossible to have one.
it's very
basically.
unpractical and very inconvenient to the point where you don't own one. But the point I wanted to make with that is that we look at Mexico now and we see the consequences of the fact that they really don't have the right to bear arms because they've made it pretty much impossible, right?
Well, who are the only ones that have the guns? And
The cartels.
Cartels and government.
Right. So the bad guys are the only ones running around with guns, right? So we see the example there. That's what's so insane to me when you as Latinos, we have the example when we go see family in Mexico. Either you go visit your family or you were raised there and came here at some point. But we pretty much, I would say, it's safe to say, most Mexicans, anyways, that are here in California or in the United States, have been around Mexico enough to kind of see and understand, like, hey, interesting, right? You don't have the only bad guy, the only people there with guns are the bad guys, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
you're right, man.
right. So
I'm laughing at, listen, I'm laughing because it's not comical, bro. I mean, we're seeing, brother, I'm telling you, I go to my hometown, right? In Guadalajara, I go to my hometown and bro, the only people that have guns is the police,
and
right?
the bad guys.
And the bad guys.
Right.
Cartels. Yeah.
Right. But I'm sure if I ask, the neighbors, like, hey, did you know you can have a gun? What? A gun? What is that?
No, we can't. No podemos tener.
Exactly. We can't.
Pistola.
Yeah, because the police, they can see. That's what, bro. It's talking about the condition. You're conditioned so much.
The Mexican people are so used to it. It's so normalized that
They just obey.
It's such a foreign. But I'll tell you guys a story that you guys probably have similar stories. Well, you're from Guatemala, but you're not from Mexico. But I would imagine, in my family, I can tell you now, we've had pretty much yearly events where somebody from my family is either abducted or was mistaken, almost killed, disappeared. More recently, so this year, actually 2023, I had one cousin was killed. Was missing and we found him dead. That's one of my cousins. And then another one was taken from his shop a few months after that. So he has a business. He's a mechanic. He's got a shop. Really don't know if he had any ties. But family doesn't want to say. I don't know. But he came back and won't talk about it. And that's kind of normal. I have other cousins that have been taken like that. And they come back and they won't talk. So I whatever they do to them must be pretty crazy to the point that they never want to talk about it. Don't ask. Nothing. Right.
Well,
but the point I wanted to make there is that my cousin was taken in broad daylight at his shop. He's surrounded by a bunch of other businesses, right? There's people around,
Right.
And this is how bold they are, is that they can just go in there. Imagine that in the US, right? They just walk into some mechanic shop and grab somebody, and everybody sees it. I mean, and because the cartel, what do they have to worry about? It's not like they're worried about other citizens coming out and with guns to stop them, right? And one of my cousins, other cousins that were my cousin she was the sister of the one who was murdered. She left the town. She was here for a couple of weeks and she doesn't even want to go back to the town, and my other male cousins were so upset that, I mean, they're talking crazy stuff like, how do we get guns? How do we get guns over here so we can handle business? It's hopeless, man. It's hopeless. Think about how would they be able to get guns now, right? I mean, I would probably have to volunteer myself to smuggle guns over there and help them out. You know what I'm saying?
Can you imagine, bro? Imagine smuggling. Now not only are we smuggling in, but now us smuggling out. I mean, golly,
Right,
bro.
like just to save them, I guess.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's like this is where you end up, right? It's now they're in a situation where it's so difficult to fight back. So I know we went on a little bit different tangent. But,
Oh, bro.
No, you're good, man.
But it's the truth. And this is, so it's amazing that when we come here and we have Latinos voting for Democrats that are trying to do the same things to you. You know, our families ran away from that environment.
Well,
Well, I mean, I know we're repeating what we've said before, but again, I'm just calling it out. It's like, sit and think about what did our family run away from, and what policies caused the environment that created the environment that they ran from.
So let's take a little, let's look at a different view. Okay. I mean, right now we just watched this video, right? And Mr. Western Lesman pretty much said, like, look, this is what's going to happen, right? You open up the border, right? You allow immigrants, right? You allow immigrants to come in, right? And since who does not want no voter IDs? Who doesn't want anything to do with accountability with voting?
Right. You know, that one of the things they call out on the video is, you know, people keep talking about, you know, how do you prove voter fraud? Again, it's very difficult. They make it impossible. Why? Because the mail-in ballots, although, you know, the Dinesh D'Souza video does show.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
What was that one called?
It was the 2,000 Mules.
2,000 Mules, right?
Well, it's funny because they call that movie conspiracy theory.
Of course,
it's like,
bro, you got all this data, right? You got cell phone, you got cell phone. Even that, bro.
Geofencing, yeah.
The people that were actually doing the investigations, actually, they got like in trouble or something. I heard that they were going to court because they provided such they provided such vital information that's the way it was happening, because they purchased all the data, and they said they did. They went on multiple shows and they said, hey, we purchased all the data, which has all the the phones what is that IM number, right?
Yeah.
So imagine you track everybody by IM number, and wait a minute, why is this IM right here for the 100th time? You know, like,
right.
Like, whoa, I mean, come on now. Now you start,
like the evidence is there, right, Alfred? Like it can't be. The best phrase: if it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck. It's a duck. If it looks like corruption, it smells like corruption. It is corruption. But it's just crazy.
But it has been the safest vote. You know, it has been the
election in US
history.
Well, but this is the scary part that I don't understand about the American people when people don't wake up. Your own government is telling you, "Don't worry, elections are safe. You can trust us." And there's some people holding on to that. It's like, bro, the point is not to trust government. Look at other countries who say these things. Russia. There's a video right now where there was, if you guys seen it, a guard with an AK-47 was going into every booth of a person voting in that Russian election. And it's
no border intimidation there, huh?
No voter suppression there. And guess who won? Obviously, Vladimir Putin. So it's like,
he's the only one on the ballot, so I don't know why they needed to go there with it.
But it's sad because it's like, why do our people keep holding on to our own government telling you don't question the elections and don't worry, it's safe and secure?
Yeah.
Well, and it's not all of us. Sorry, it's not. It's not all the people, brother.
Well, yeah,
it's
sorry.
It's not all the people. I mean, we were once those people, but now we're not.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say there is no evidence, right? Let's just say that the video is a lie and it's all made up, right?
Sure.
Let's just go back to common sense and logic, right? Why would we want, obviously voting is super important, right? There's a lot of consequences that we're experiencing now by making bad decisions or potential voter fraud, right?
100%.
So, excuse me. Why would we want to allow mail-in ballots? I mean, why would we want to wait? We can look and say, okay, we want to make it difficult for people to cheat. We don't want to make it easy. Right. So I think it's pretty safe to say that mail-in ballots is easy to cheat, right? Drop boxes, it's easy to cheat, or you're risking people throwing in fake ballots. Right.
Oh, how is
now? I have no proof that it's happening.
Right.
But you're gonna find out when it's too late.
Well, Isaac, explain a little bit. So let's just say tomorrow I vote a mail-in ballot. That's it. Like, do they count it or do they actually check it? If you can explain, I guess, because with mail-in.
Well, I mean, how many people? I mean, here in California, we could say, right? How many? How many people get ballots at their house from people that don't even live there anymore?
Bro, I mean, I hear people saying, bro, I got five ballots.
Oh, did
And-
you hear
and-
the,
and-
supposedly the stories, right, Alfred? That or you guys heard that in the 2020 election, their family members voted, but they died like years ago. It's like, wait,
It was
how
like
did you?
that.
how did
Yeah, so
how did
you have
vote?
you have that, but let's just say everybody can relate, right? Let's not we don't even have to
Let's
get crazy.
side with them.
Like, let's not even get crazy. But I think I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just
Tinfoil
saying
hat.
for people that are out there let's just take one thing. I'll give an example. At my house, okay, I get everybody's ballot. I get my oldest daughter's ballot, who doesn't live at my house anymore. I get my oldest sister, who doesn't live at my house. I actually bought the house from, but her ballot comes to my house. My father-in-law's ballot comes there, and my sister-in-law, who lives in Arizona now, her ballot comes in there. Right? What's to stop me from voting for them?
True.
I mean,
that's just seal it and put it in the.
I don't.
You know what?
I could just not even tell them and just vote however I want.
Okay.
And send it off. Who's
Let me-
gonna know?
Let me ask you this before we get back on that.
But isn't that voter fraud?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yes. You
thank
can't
you.
do that. Yeah,
Easy.
for sure. But
Easy.
yeah, like
How are you gonna know I did that?
Yeah.
How are you gonna prove that was voter fraud?
you can't.
You can't.
Yeah, there's no way because it's like
Right.
all you could say is like, "Oh, my sister gave it to me," and that's it.
I mean,
Can you make sure?
nobody's ever come to ask.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
You know?
Okay, so here's a good question. Out of you guys that are older than me, did the government ever push mail-in voting ballots even back then?
No, I
No.
never even heard of that.
Never.
Till now.
Imagine.
I mean, think about this. The border. The mail-in ballots was actually being given to the elderly folks, people that really you can't get out of your house.
Yeah, like
you have issues.
hospice.
Yeah, you have a
people,
hospice
right?
situation. It was done for people in the military, right? People
Right,
that were out
right.
in the military, people that are out in overseas and they're traveling, But now all of a sudden, since 2019, boom, everybody gets it.
Right.
You get a ballot. You get a ballot. Now, to answer Isaac's question, the party that you're affiliated with, they're thinking that you're gonna do the best thing, which is gonna be. You're going to be returning those mail-in ballots back, Isaac, and you're not going to do anything shady, and you're not going to vote on behalf of, all these people that no longer live in your house. They're expecting you to do that.
Yeah, they're just assuming that everybody's that nice and that they're going to do it, right? and that's the problem is again, it's voter fraud if that happens. Do you think that doesn't happen? And how do you prove it? So the whole point being here is that I don't want to use the word sacred, but it's extremely important, right? Or your vote, it carries, again, we're experiencing the consequences of elections right now with what we have going on. Inflation, criminal aliens come in here. People have actually died because of this vote. We have, like we were talking on the last podcast, we have all the sex trafficking that's going on.
100%.
How many children right now are suffering because of how people voted, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is, or maybe didn't vote. We don't know. Maybe, it could have been fraud, right? Or it wasn't. The point being here is that voting is important and who we have in office is important. And going back to the video, the other point is the congressional seats. Again, that's the real power, right? Because even if you don't get the presidency, you get the Congress, you have the power.
And they could just flush in.
They control the
bunch of
money.
bills.
They control the committees, right? They control the money.
The power that can hit us hard in the country would be the congressional power if it turned woke. If they can turn that Congress into the biggest Democrat seats they've ever had, best believe let's just say if there is no, because again, I keep saying this, if there's no revolution and there's no civil war and these Democrats are able to pull it off, supposedly, right? If they get congressional power, that power could be the most dangerous for America, and then I think you will see something like a revolution, civil war, because they will for sure pass bills to take away your firearms to give more illegal aliens benefits over Americans.
They're already doing it now, and it's not a
that's true.
coincidence, right? That's what the video is calling out. It's basically just listing what they are actually doing, guys.
The plan behind
I mean,
the scenes.
Newman's is already giving here in California the right. He's working on a bill that would allow illegals to own homes.
That's insane,
right?
bro. I
So
heard
you
about
think that's a coincidence? So coincidentally, now we have all these illegals coming in here, right? And open borders. We're giving them money. We're flying them all over the place, and simultaneously, all these Democrats are getting this bright idea to, I don't know if you guys saw, Tyson's Food wants to hire these people, and I go back to again. Let's talk about who does this really hurt? It's the Latinos.
Right.
It's our people. Our people are the ones that get hurt. Tyson Foods is talking about, we're going to give them jobs that Americans don't want, right? I would.
No. I'm sorry, bro. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead,
Brother,
man.
hold on before you go forward, because you just hit a little, nerve right there, man.
Right.
And let me tell you why you hit a nerve, bro. Because we all been talking about this, right? Actually, last week, you guys mentioned about the children, right? And the child, and not only the sex trafficking, the labor, the child, but then we start looking into. You remember we talked about those little hats, right? The tinfoil hats, and we said, man, we're gonna put this on every time we talk about these. Remember how we talked about how corporations will benefit from this, right? Because think about it. Some of Americans are making such a well amount of money, right? And they all have homes, right? And guess what's going to happen? A lot of them are in the middle class, right? They're the ones that are producing. They're the ones that work during the time that COVID hit and everybody stayed home, right? Everybody with a nice representative from the certain party, right? If you're well represented by a party, you get a big fat check. Remember? And everybody, it was in the mail. Everybody was saying, "Hey, I haven't received my check," right? It was in all these little group messages with people in the community. Hey, has anybody got their checks yet?
I need my check.
Do you remember this? Like the COVID, my COVID check, I'm not working because of COVID. You remember?
I deserve a check and I pay taxes.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's funny. You guys want to hear something funny? And sorry, on a side note, but go back to that, Alfred.
Yeah.
Is, I think it was the numbers showed that many people with their COVID checks bought more firearms.
Yeah.
So, 100%. But the reason why I'm saying this is because
backfired.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm saying this is because Isaac, the problem that with Tyson Food is like, look, it's greed, brother. It's greed in the sense where, think about it. You're paying somebody, a $30 an hour, right? $30 an hour. Well, guess what? I can get two of them
And
for
and by the way,
$15 an hour. They don't care.
Alfred, just to
They're
be
just
clear,
here making more. Yeah.
Just to be clear, and sorry to interrupt, Alfred
Yeah.
and Isaac.
Closer.
They're not. Sorry to interrupt, Alfred and Isaac. Just to be sure, they're not going to pay them the minimum wage of Americans, right?
No, of course not.
Well, we don't. I don't think they've talked about it. But my point that I wanted to go with that is just kind of loop this back to
Exploitation?
the reality is that I'm pretty sure, and I haven't been there, but I'm confident. If you walked in and found out what jobs they took, would probably be a lot of Latino citizen jobs.
100%.
You get what I'm saying? The jobs they're going to take isn't going to be the higher paying jobs.
Corporate,
in that,
no.
Yeah, most likely it's going to be
chickens. Say it. Just blocking the chickens.
I don't know what
the black brokers, the lifting, and all that.
Right,
stuff.
which is typically our people that are in there working.
Sad, bro.
Right, which is all good. I'm sure they love that job. But guess what? Now they're the ones getting tossed to the side, right?
Yeah.
Because now there's actually a guy who's more desperate than they are that's willing to pay for less. And interesting is I had a conversation after our first podcast with a family member. Well, it's my brother-in-law's family. They were visiting over, and I guess they listened to the podcast, which was kind of funny. I didn't.
Shout out to the primos. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah, my brother-in-law actually watches it. And he's a leftist. Well, he was. I don't know. I don't think you confessed.
Red
If you're
pill or
listening to it, I think you're a Trump supporter now.
Have you been a red pill or what?
I know you won't say it. I know you won't say it, bro. But
he's probably like this, like, man, I hate Trump, and then he's like,
yeah. But he came here from very, very, very poor part of Mexico. I mean, this guy was legitimately, poor, living in a hut. You know what I mean? Type deal. Eating pigeons. Growing up, that sort of thing.
Wow,
Legit,
I love
right?
Pigeon is good, bro.
Yeah,
no way. What?
Yeah,
that's
so good,
let's
bro.
not go to that.
Yeah. So his family was over, and he was telling them, hey, this guy, he's a conservative and such. So we got talking about immigration, and interestingly enough, they were upset because apparently, and I don't know, do you guys know about this? Apparently now, they made it more difficult for you to do papers for your parents.
Yeah, well, it's always been. They've made it. People don't understand this, but if you go to like doing immigration paperwork and all that, here's the funnier part that people don't know this, and people who do papers. My mom helps out people to get their papers done. During the Trump administration, it was cheaper to file for, I guess you could say, citizenship or to get your residency.
Yeah.
Now it's double the numbers. You're looking at $6,000 or up higher.
So they raised the price.
So they raised the prices. That's why it's harder and it's more expensive.
Yeah. So she was upset because she was talking about how it's more difficult for them to get become citizens now, right? Or
I wonder
now
why.
that they're here as residents, somehow they're at a residency, and then I'm guessing they're trying to become citizens.
Yeah, residents.
But it's more difficult for them. So they're upset because these illegals just to get to walk in, So they came here illegally, right?
Yeah.
And then they're work. I think they're working towards their residency,
Right.
right? But
Is
it's
it
taking.
residency?
I think they're working towards their residency, and it's more difficult for them, and it's taking longer. But they're upset because these people just to get to come in and get all the benefits, right? And it's interesting enough. I'm telling them, well, the people, just like you're upset right now because you're now have these people cutting in your line, right?
Right.
There's people that are not even here yet that are in Mexico trying to do it the legal way, right? But you cut in front of them.
That's
You know what I'm
true.
saying?
That's
So you're like, let's just say you're in the middle of the line, and these guys that are just coming in they blasted right to the front of the line, right?
They cut you.
They cut in front of you, and you all cut in front of the people that are in back of the line outside trying to do this right, and legally.
Right.
So now you understand the problem, and it's interesting because once they connected that, they're like, you're right.
It's kind of like this.
I'm like, yes, that's the problem.
Well, you know what's scary, Isaac, is you explaining it, right? The scary part, and it's pretty funny, is that now it's pushing them to the back of the line.
Yes,
like they were first.
They were in front of the line. Now they're in the middle of the line,
And then now
and
they're
those guys are in front of the line,
Yeah.
right? And it's upset. And we know what I'm trying to explain to them is that the whole issue is the policies that we have that make it so difficult. It shouldn't be this difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No,
We Mexicans should be able to have a process to come here legally.
Easier.
That's easier for them. And it's we want to make it more difficult to come here illegally and easier to come here legally.
Well, and to add on that, Isaac, it's just that Mexicans were actually the ones that were it was the easier process, but it took a little longer. It took a little longer. Like, for example, right, to get your citizen card, right, you submit your paperwork within 5 to 10 years, depending on how you entered or what the process is, depending on the amount of people you have.
Right.
That was going to be the waiting time, right? 5 to 10,
Yeah.
right? And then you have, those that are waiting, that are actually through the visa process, right?
Right.
Come in, you get married, boom, boom, that's 6 months, right? The visa, the what is it? The V1, whatever the visa, you married a citizen, and that's 6 months, right?
Right.
And then you have these, everybody that comes in, and they come in with, within the process of 6 to a year.
Yeah.
And now, so think about it, 5 years, 10 years, right? 5 to
Yeah.
10 for those Mexicans that are waiting
Right.
and waiting in line patiently. I'm doing everything right. I'm working here. I don't even have papers, right? I can't even provide, but you want me to pay through a TIN number, right? You're smart.
Right.
You're already juicing me up, right? You're taking my money, right? I'm paying because I got to do at the end of the year. I got to do my taxes through my TIN number, right? You're fully taking advantage of me. And now somebody else comes in, and now that person comes in ahead of the line, and you're talking about millions of people. You're
Right.
talking more than 10
millions of people.
millions of people,
you're
and
not,
it's
not even thousands, bro.
Hey, listen,
Millions
and
of
it's
people.
not
That's
even
crazy, man.
And it's not even the Mexicans, right? You got the Haitians, you got the Venezuelans,
Chinese.
you got the Chinese,
Afghans.
you got people that are coming from Middle East. The Middle Eastern. Those people have, right? Because remember, these are the people. And again, I don't want to get all conspiracy because I don't want you guys to think that I have a tin hat, right? But these are the people that, for sure, don't like America.
They hate us.
You know what I mean? They hate
Straight up.
America.
Yeah.
They hate everything that has to do with nationalists and everything. I don't like it. Come on in. Because guess the party who's control right now, the regime, doesn't like who? Americans.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're going to do anything. Again, prove me wrong based on this video here we watched.
It's crazy because it's like you guys are saying, right? It's like everybody's getting pushed back to the line, and it's like, bro, if we do not close the border, then nobody's gonna be first but the government, if you think about it. Because look what's going on. It's like you're saying your own family's getting pushed to the back of the line now, and it should show everybody that this is not normal. This is planned, bro. Like, you gotta see this and wake up and say, bro, why is this happening? Like, what is the point of this? But I don't know. Every time I hear the whole border situation, and it sucks because we were talking about this, is every time we say something about it, what are we called? Nopalero. Nopal en la
Yeah,
frente.
you don't like
Sellout.
us. You don't like the
Coconut.
Mexicans.
Yeah.
It's
You don't
like, bro, it's not. It has nothing to do with not saying we don't want nobody here, but let's find a way. And by the way, I always say this, right? I believe that. Look at Congress; they're quick to send our money to Ukraine, but they cannot pass an immigration reform bill.
Think about that.
Right. And Obama had a full majority his first 2 years, right? And could have done anything they wanted, and they didn't do it, right? Because they don't want to solve the problem, because then they can't justify their jobs. They can't run out next election season and fearmonger Latinos into voting for them because the evil Republicans are going to deport them, right? So if they solve that problem, then there's no incentive for their existence, really. But they don't do anything. But one of the things I was I'm curious if anybody's can comment watching this. I'm curious to see how many people's immigration process has been delayed because of all this. I mean, it has to be, right?
It must.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm curious. Comment and let us know if you know or you yourself is trying to go through the immigration process. Is it taking longer?
Imagine, bro, like someone says, "Hey, bro, I was just about to get my papers in 2 weeks," and all of a sudden now I'm waiting 2 years. They said, like, what?
Right?
Well, I mean,
I don't know. I'm curious.
I mean, like
maybe your mom knows. She does this.
I could ask her. I could ask, but like you said, it kind of. I mean, it has to, Isaac, because it's like, imagine if your family's saying, "Hey, hold on, why can I qualify for these things?" It's like, bro, I'm pretty sure but I'll ask. But it's like, what? How else can it not end up?
Well,
like
they're
this?
asking for money because they need more people to process these people, right? So I would think that all your resources are allocated to that issue right now. You have all these people coming through. You got to process. So are they pulling people out of other departments to say, hey, we need help here? And so now your file's sitting on a desk somewhere on hold. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I'm interested. Comment and let us know, please.
I got a funny conspiracy. Imagine, like, let's just say, right, like Biden wins with these whole votes and all that, and then, like you said, just like Obama, he just starts deporting all of them back. Like, thanks for the election, bro.
Well, no, he'd have to keep them because that's their new voter base.
But I'm just saying, like, just to stay in power 4 more years and change like some regulation stuff, he just starts saying, get out of here. All right, bro, thank you for helping me. Like, you never know. I mean, Obama did it, right? He deported a bunch of people.
Well, one of the things that's interesting about it too, though, is when Abbott started busing them out of the Texas and into the liberal states. Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, because
double standard.
Well, no, it's a double-edged sword that he's doing that because now he's putting them out strategically into certain states. Oh yeah. Right. So on the one hand, it makes you wonder, like, hey, that's interesting. Is he doing that really to? In the one hand, it's great because if you look at Chicago now, right? The black people in Chicago, they've woken up. They're not having their kids. Bro. Their kids are getting kicked out of schools because they got to put these people in their kids' schools, right? They're not educating their children. They're taking all their resources, so they're going to. I don't know if you guys have seen the not the school board meetings, but their local government meetings. They're going out there and they're speaking out and they're letting them have it, right?
Oh yeah. Actually, Lexa put up a video and somebody said, hey, this woman comes up, right? There's a panel of 4 guys. I think they're rappers. I don't know if they are, but they're sitting there and they're having this discussion. This is the black community coming together in Chicago, right? And they're having the discussion and they're saying, hey, and this lady comes up and she starts saying like, hey, this is what they're doing. They're reallocating some of the funds and and one of the guys comes up blankly and says, hey, hold up. Like, who did you vote for? And she was like, oh, it's not about whoever. No, really. Who did you vote for? I want to know. I'm curious. Biden. And so you were the cause of this. You know what I mean? Like, this is you're making, right? I mean, think about it, man. This is the truth. You know what I mean? This is the 81 million, right? This stuff. And again, I get it. The ideology is that I don't like America, but this is not the way to destroy, your communities, to destroy your local civics, in your town. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. The influx of people is too much. Yeah. You overpopulate an area, right? When you bring in people, they need medical. They need some sort of support. They need where to sleep. They need food, right? Yeah. And who gets to pay all of this? Right?
Well, it's not just about the money when you think about, one of the things that I was talking about earlier with that guy Michael Young that was on the Sean Ryan show. Man, I didn't think about it. I mean, it's kind of scary, but let's use some common sense, right? Historically, when you have stuff like this, it leads to famine.
Oh yeah.
Think about it though; it makes sense because we have an influx. I mean, millions of people that are here that weren't here before,
Right.
so how do we sustain that? We produce so much food.
Well,
Oh, and then I'm sorry to
Okay,
cut.
I mean, I just want to make sure you understand what I'm saying here.
wait, say that again. Okay, say what you
Understand what I'm saying is our farmers and our food production, right, is we produce food based on a certain population, I would assume. Okay. You know, Tyson Foods and all these food industries, they do analysis and they understand, okay, we sell X amount of chicken per year. Therefore, we need to have X amount of chickens to slaughter, right?
Gotcha.
To be able to keep up with demand. All of a sudden now, though, you have this anomaly where you have millions of more people now that need to be fed. Let's just say chicken. So you only grew, so you only accounted for so much. So you take that out in the bread. Farmers, right? They plan. They say, okay, you know what? Last year we forecasted. This is how many sales we did, right? This is how much food we produced in order to feed X amount of people.
That's right.
Okay, I'm simplifying this, but let's just use logic, guys. Anybody that's in business and understands, in my world, right? You know, we move certain amount of loads. You know, a perfect example. Most of our customers that I work with are like Cliff Bar foods. You know, Cliff Bar, food related industries, right? Mm-hmm. We know how much product we're going to move because we forecast. It's the same all the time, right? Anticipate this time of year, we typically sell X, right? That's all food. So now all of a sudden you have millions of more people here though that you have to feed. You know, and do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I hear you.
So this isn't something like, okay, now all of a sudden you're going to raise, you know, thousands and thousands or millions more chickens, or you can just go run off now and all of a sudden plant more wheat in order to meet the demand. All this takes time.
So let me ask you this. A good question. I mean, I love it.
I'm just thinking out loud.
No. You're onto something.
I think I gotta go to tinfoil.
No, you got you're onto something. And I don't know if you remember this, but remember, just not too long ago, right? This has been a month or 2 months. 2 months. You start seeing all these news that certain plant was on fire.
Right.
Plant fire here, plant fire there, plant fire
bunch
there.
of fires, right?
Like fire. Hey, the largest producer of pigs, right? Fire. Chickens.
Cows.
Yeah, you had
Cows,
fires,
chickens.
I think in Texas they wiped out a bunch of thousands and thousands of cow, which is a lot of meat. You know.
I mean, but again, a tinfoil hat right here. I'm just like, okay, you're bringing an influx, fires everywhere. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, let's just assume that these are a coincidence. At the end of the day, let's just assume it's a coincidence. At the end of the day, guys, it happened. We have less food because of fires and and we have more people that need to be fed.
And
how's that going to work?
And here's another one. The food is more expensive. So even if you could buy it, a pack of eggs is how much now?
Yeah, but you need more eggs now. Now you need to produce more eggs. So it's just, guys, it's a problem. It's just, let's just use some logic. And
man, bro, I'm gonna keep it real, bro. I'm sick and tired of you people not waking up to this nonsense. I don't understand how you guys do not see this and think we're the crazy ones, bro. I'm looking at y'all right in the eyes while you see and watch this podcast. Wake up, y'all. This is not no coincidence. This is not a conspiracy theory.
No,
the government is not on your side. How many times do I have to say this? Clip it, record it, make my voice go through your mind. The government is not on your side. They're not there to be your friend, your mommy, your daddy. They're there to take control of you, bro. And then eventually when they do, they'll decide, just like Alfred said earlier, communism. Should he live or should he not live? So again, ladies and gentlemen, wake up and see these things before it's too late. And then eventually, like in Venezuela, they start feeding us cat food or dog food.
And the funny thing about this, man, is Venezuela's not taking any of the people back. All right, so
Yeah,
they have already said, hey, listen, we released all of the people, right? And you know, somebody said it, and again, they send us their best. Let's just put it that way, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And now they don't want them back. Why? Common
hold
sense,
up.
right?
Now, hold up. And I'm gonna say this too, Isaac and everybody. For the people that are criticizing us for talking about the border, and clip this as well. I want you to prove to me, right? Since you're saying that a lot of people like to call people like me a nopalero or nopal or coconut or sellout. How many of these illegal immigrants are you helping? Are you giving them food? How many of them have you opened your house to them and said, "Hey, I got an extra car, extra clothes"? Because if you're not doing that and you got a problem with us talking about the border, then you're the true hypocrite by you protecting them and not even giving them at least, maybe, hopefully $1.
Yeah, so
Sorry, boys, I'm just hot today. It's,
it'll be all right.
why do I have to be the bad? Why do I have to be the bad guy saying this stuff? It's like, bro, go ahead, man.
Yeah.
I'm on one today.
No, so yeah, it's just, again, you know, I just want people to think about these things and ponder them. You know, again, I'm just thinking of things. I don't have no evidence that we don't have enough food. I just know and I see, and it's just logic, right? I know how business works. I know how my own business works. You know, we forecast things, and all of a sudden we have such an increase in demand. It's not something that we could just provide the resources that quickly, right? There's going to be a transition process, and when it comes to food, right? I mean, it only, what is it, like 3 days before, you know, something like
3
that.
days.
It's like 3 days, or is it water, right?
Water is 3 days.
Water is 3 days, and I forgot what food is, but it's, let's just say a week or a little over a week before we start eating each other. You know?
Cannibalism.
Yeah.
Hey, what happened? Hey, what happened to our cousin? I see a bunch of bones over there. Who's that? Bro, like,
Yeah. You know, I'm not an educated man, so, but, you know, I have some common sense. You know, that's all I want to say about that. But yeah, you know, and going back to what we were talking about, going back to the, you know, the point I was making with Chicago is that they've already lost their voter base there. Right.
Yeah, 100.
So they've already lost their voter base.
crazy,
So,
bro.
you know, that's what the point of these people is. They are the replacement. They are the new Democratic voter base.
who would have known, bro? Here's the funny part, and I'm sorry, I gotta say it this way, bro. But who would have known, right? Because a lot of people over there, since they lean left, especially black folks, now it's not the white folks taking your votes; it's illegal immigrants taking your votes,
yeah.
bro. Imagine the tables have turned. The illegal immigrants took your votes, bro. It wasn't even the white man, or how they say voter suppression, right? The black liberals, but now it's illegal immigrants who replaced y'all, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
That's all I gotta say. I'm just like, bro, like if you don't see, like Isaac said, that now you're not the majority, bro. It's the illegal immigrants. Then I'm sorry, bro. It's too late. It's too late for you to even go complain to your government, right, Isaac? It's like, bro, they're already there and they're gonna keep coming, bro. So,
Yeah, I mean, our only hope is that we can turn this around. We definitely have to have, you know, we can't have Sleepy Joe back. Trump has to win, and we also need to get, you know, a majority in the House and the Senate, because otherwise Trump will be ineffective. You know, they'll just roadblock him, and we need to get real conservatives, not rhinos, right?
And that's the problem, man. The problem is, you know, I agree with both. I mean, I agree with both the theories of, hey, you know, what Eli is talking about in regards to, like, hey, it's you guys' fault. But can you imagine, Eli? This is what the MSNBC and all these news media is just pumping into the bloodstream, lies like that. You know, a never Trumpster, right? And this and that he's a hater, he's a criminal, right? And can you imagine you come and you say, hey, this is who you vote, and the other, and you're seeing exactly what the other said, what one person said that he will do. You're seeing it from the other side. For example, open borders, right? You said the other side said, hey, when Trump is in office, it's going to be all kapoots. It's going to be out of control.
Alfred, the best one is and get this as well. Ladies and gentlemen, when Trump won, the biggest one that I heard, and I kind of believed it, even though I was like, man, what if he does do this, is when y'all guys said that he was either going to start World War III or get involved or start another war. Well, guess what? Under Trump, there's a European war happening right now with Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East. And it looks like our enemies want to start World War III. But anyways, yeah, Alfred, that was a big one that kind of annoyed me, is that the biggest one, the theory that they said was Trump will start another war or get us into World War III. Well, look who's more closer than ever to getting us into World War III.
Right.
It ain't Trump.
No, 100%, man. That's 100%. Hey, listen, do you guys want to look at this video? I actually have the audio bites.
Let's go.
Do you guys want to go into the origins of woke?
Yep.
You want to go through the video?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to play this video, and of course, we'll clip it and show it. We're going to focus on the first, which is 11. We're going to go to, let's see. Let's go to this portion, because it's very important that you guys listen to this. This is Mr. Thomas Sowell, right?
Thomas Sowell, yeah.
Thomas Sowell. He's speaking to someone, and he's talking to him about the origins of woke. But I really like, the take. I really like what, what we were talking about earlier in regards to the trade-off. I think it was important to we'll explain to you guys about
which
the trade-off.
clip are you playing? Are you playing the last
the first one?
The first one?
The 11:28.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
We're gonna play this first one and then pay attention. All right, Here we go. 11:28, and then we'll take it here and we'll ask questions.
Thinking about going solo.
No, of course, you don't want to listen to the
See the commercial?
commercial, man. Skip it. All right, here we go.
All right, let's go.
Here we go.
Vigorous.
The vision of the anointed, that we should no longer listen to these people. That's sort of the debate. They've been wrong. They don't prove their points. It's hurt us. Who should we listen to?
We should listen first and foremost to our own experience. You seem to act as if there must be alternative saviors. We should stop looking for saviors. I mean, the society has not existed for thousands of years because it had a succession of saviors. It's existed because it has institutions and processes through which people can realize their own goals.
No, I understand that, but you are attacking people who would like to lead us and tell us how the world works.
No, they don't want to tell us how the world works. They want to take over the decision for us. They don't tell the parents how they ought to teach sex education to their children. They put this material in the schools behind the backs of the parents with instructions not to let the parents see it.
Bro.
And to give you guys some context, what he's talking about here, this is a long video. Thomas Sowell, another guy that I love listening to, a lot of common sense. But what he's talking about here is the elite class, right? And how we're looking for heroes and we're conditioned to listen to the experts. For example, we went through COVID, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in the Latino community, we've talked about this before. We're very trusting people, and I think because a lot of our family comes from Mexico, they've been so conditioned to. I actually don't even want to make that unique. It's not even unique to Mexicans or Latinos, right? Most people are conditioned to assume and buy into the narrative that there's experts out there that know better than we do, right? And one of the things Thomas Sowell is talking about there is that we're actually better qualified to understand what the solutions are to our problems, or I don't want to say solutions, but what the problems are and the best way to handle it. Mm-hmm. Right? We can use our own common sense and reason, and we don't do that. People don't trust themselves; they trust politicians.
That's sad.
Right? And one of the examples he's talking about there, and interesting enough, this is 1985, and he's already talking about what's going on in the schools back then, right?
Public education. Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, if you, like you said, right, if you see it, Isaac and Alfred, who's the one that's pushing a lot of this public education into the schools? Politicians, the governments. They're trying to push this whole narrative and brainwashing into these kids. And it's them. It's the government. Rather than, like you said, having our kids think for themselves, doing like understanding logic and reality. Government isn't behind us.
Yeah, an example. I mean, he's using the education as an example, but that example being that we know as parents what's better for our kids than the government does.
Right,
100%.
We know what's better for our families than politicians do. Because again, like I mentioned before, people forget that government is politicians. They are the government. So that's who you're giving the authority to, and those guys aren't smarter than we are, guys. They are not smarter than you are in your own affairs.
That is true. They're just like, people keep thinking that, and that's where I don't understand is people keep thinking politicians are these brainiacs. Like, bro, these are just people who we voted them into because they said some
public servants.
Yeah, like public servants who set a dream, I guess, to say, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and then when they get in there, they do the complete opposite, and then you put them as like, well, they're smarter than you. It's like, no, bro, like we're smarter than them. They just make you seem like they're smart.
I mean, to me, when you hear the credentials, like, these guys are Harvard graduates and they did all this schooling and they have all these degrees, to me, that just means they've been conditioned and have gone through the propaganda system.
Mm-hmm. Now,
right?
Yeah, because back then, right, Isaac, schools were great. I believe back then when it was before this whole propagandist took over the schools.
No. This
Really?
this
Okay.
has been going on for a very long time.
Okay, I thought it would be.
And these
I mean,
institutions.
I thought it was back then that they were better.
I mean,
Harvard.
they were probably more discreet and not as out there.
now, yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah,
As
you guys
blunt.
are older than me. I thought that.
Yeah, but
back
it's
then
always
it was-
it's always been there. You know, were just a lot better about
keeping it.
keeping it down low, right?
Ah, okay.
But yes, usually when if you notice this in your life, and again, I have a sister who's highly educated, has a doctorate. My kids are in school, so
Dang, okay.
that sort of stuff. But to me, it doesn't hold any. I don't consider them. Put it this way: my sister has a doctorate, and she still doesn't know how to spell right. You know what I mean? So,
bro,
I'm putting her on blast
chill,
right
bro.
now. You know what I mean? I love my sister;
Shout
she's
out-
super smart
shout
and
out to
hardworking,
sis.
but she still
She
needs
has a
help
PhD
spelling
in
sometimes. She has a doctorate in education, which is even funnier, right? but I'm putting her on blast right now. But I'm just it's not. My sister's very smart. I love her to death. But the only thing I'm calling out here is it doesn't mean they know everything. It does not mean that they're smarter than you. In fact, my experience is that people that didn't go to college are actually have a lot more sense and common sense because for some reason, and I don't know what it is because I didn't go to college.
Either, thank God.
So I just noticed the difference is that a lot of people that go to college, they buy into narratives a lot more blindly. It's almost like they're
bingo.
It's almost like they're conditioned to, listen to their professor, right? Because their professor knows everything, right? Their professor is the expert. So there's something with that where they kind of blindly follow and don't question, even though the education system is supposed to help you be a better critical thinker. But I don't find that to be the case. You can comment, let me know what your experiences are, but that's just what I noticed. And there's probably a reason why most successful people and the richest people in the world aren't even college educated. I mean, that says a
100%.
whole lot, right? And it's probably because it's just independent thinkers. We're not easily deceived.
And
Well-
I think, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, right. I was talking with my lady, and if you notice, like you said, in college, they program you to think what they want you to think, to see things the way they want you to see things, to hear things, to spell things, to do everything their way. But me and you, who never went to college, we just question things. And like saying, right, if we see this book and it's blue, but people are saying, well, no, because other people say that it can be blue, but something else. You're like, no, bro, I'm pretty sure it's blue. Like, I don't know what you get me.
Yeah,
And I think that's what is amazing, that we didn't go to college because we're not programmed, but we're just like, we see things, we question it, and we're like, okay, that doesn't look normal. That doesn't like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Why is that person supposedly saying that they can be a man or a woman, but they're a man? So we question these things, and we're like, boom, okay, it's simple, bro.
Yeah, I think now that I think about it, it probably has to do with, again, I didn't go to college, so I could only assume that, just like regular school, when you go to high school, right, you're reading books and you're being fed information. To a certain degree, you are, encouraged to critical think and debate. But when you leave school and you're out in the workforce, you're basically figuring it out on your own. That was my experience anyways, right? I graduated high school, I had my kid when I was 18 years old. I had to make it happen. Got a job and was just learning. It's not like anybody sat with me. Yeah, you get your job and somebody trains you right at that job, but you do a lot of figuring it out on your own.
That's true.
Does that make sense?
No, of course, 100%. I think overall, what you're trying to, again, this is my understanding, is because I think the notion of, I'm not sure, but listen, when I grew up, I grew up in the hood, right? I grew up in the streets. There's street smarts, right? It's kind of like when you have the street smarts, right? You go, you're self-dependent, you're knowledgeable on certain things, you're exposed to certain things, right? On how to deal with certain things. So meaning your brain, it's situations that you get confronted with.
Yeah.
You react faster. Right.
Yeah.
And you know how to handle certain issues, and that's considered the street smarts, right? The hood, right? You say, hey, I grew up in the hood. I'm kind of, I've been trained in the school of hard knocks, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's where it comes down. Nowadays, I don't think that's something that's being pushed on or challenged enough in schools or in colleges, right? It's like now it's kind of like, hey, trust us, right? It's like I like what you said. I like the first part where you said, college is just another step to be conditioned, right? And in a sense, it's kind of the lost of program and to not think critically. And I think that's the problem, man. That's a huge problem.
Things. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like seeing in college, they're not allowed to think anymore, bro. It's like just think what we're thinking or take interpretation how we're interpreting. It's like, no, bro. Like I think my mind works pretty good for me to realize I don't think the same as you.
Yeah, and there are exceptions to the rule, so I'm sure there's people out there thinking like, not everybody's like that. No, we're talking 100%. In generalities here. But I think that when you think it through, I do think that when people like us, and I'm not putting myself up on a pedestal. I'm not perfect.
Not all means.
But I just think for myself, I think really, you're forced to critically think and question things and figure things out. So naturally, 100%. You're more self-reliant.
Yeah.
And that, and interesting enough, when they measure voting blocks, right, it's the educated versus the not educated, right, and the educated tends to vote left, and the interesting is that people would assume that's because they're smarter. See, they're educated, they're smarter. I would actually challenge that and say it's probably because you've been programmed to vote that way. They've been conditioned to have a certain worldview, and those that didn't go through that system weren't manipulated by that system. Therefore, we don't tend to fall for voting for the left. That's just my opinion.
And Isaac, think about it, bro. Think about it, bro. And you are spitting facts. These are the people that they say they're educated, but they believe that a man can get pregnant, and they don't even know what a woman is. And I'm looking straight at the camera for our hint to realize that these are the people who are saying they're educated, but think about systemic racism. Supposedly, they think that a man can get pregnant and they don't know what a woman is, and that a baby in the womb is not a baby.
Right.
And that they're educated. It sounds like they became educatedly stupid. Respectfully.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro. I'm just being honest. I'm just saying the truth, Alfred. My bad.
No, you got it. No,
come on, bro.
You're saying it, bro. You're saying it. You're saying what you're saying, bro. But I'm laughing about something else, man. Just right now, I just got another. I always keep on refreshing that. Hey, shout out to people at Citizen Free Press, man. Their stuff is off the hook. Right now, I just got a little link. It says Mexico will no longer, under any circumstances, accept illegal aliens deported by Texas.
Oh my goodness!
Are you kidding me, bro?
So what are they gonna do?
You gotta open it up, man.
So what are they gonna do to them then? What?
I don't know.
Deport them somewhere else? Or
no. I just get the links, but just this is what Citizen
so they let them in.
Press does. Yeah.
Alfred, sorry to interrupt. They let them in, but they don't want them back.
Of course, they let them go through the whole thing. Remember, some of these people come from the Panama, right? All the way to San Salvador. Not San Salvador. I'm thinking it probably go through Honduras, down to Guatemala, down to south, and they go through Mexico, right? All through all the states, wiggle themselves in, right? And then, under no circumstances, we're not going to accept any of them.
Man, this is how weak, man. This is how weak Biden is. How disrespectful is that? That's just so disrespectful. It's man. Again, this would not happen with the stronger president. This is how bad it's gotten. People hate America, man. They live here. It trips me out, but we're not perfect. I have plenty to criticize when it comes to some of the things we do, especially on the foreign meddling that we get involved in. But for me, the Mexico doing this is just slap in the face, man.
And definitely. Again, I have not clicked, but if I do click on this thing, I can go into the details. It was actually reported back with News Nation, right? It said Mexico says it won't accept migrants sent back into Texas, new immigration law. So they're already putting the front. They're saying, hey, we're not going to handle this. I don't know how you guys going to guess what Governor Abbott's going to do. He's already doing it to Chicago, right? He's already doing it to New York. What is the next state he's going to start flushing all these people into? California.
Yeah.
Yep. So get ready, California. Think you guys are off the hook on this one? No way. I mean,
man, Governor, if we just vote for Trump just for the satisfaction of seeing him take these illegals and dumping them in Mexico and tell them, what are you going to do about it?
Bro, I mean,
you know what I mean? I want him to go to the border. You know what I'm saying? And just with like military guys, and then just bring all the illegals and then just throw them all over the river on the other side, and just like a press conference. This is your problem now. What are you going to do about it?
Well, the funny thing about it, bro, that the last time Donald Trump visited the border, you actually had people on the other side waving at him. Hey, Trump, we love you. Yeah, Trump, you know, and he got the photo ops, right? And he sees that everybody on that other side that were on the other side, you know, they were all like for Trump, you know, saying hi to him, waving at him, right? And then you have at the same time, you have on the other side, on the opposite side of Texas, right? You have, you know, Sleepy Joe visiting. When nobody showed up. You know what?
I believe when Trump was president, he actually he funded their what is the new form of police that they had, because he formed a new not immigration but a new police force that was going in and actually, you know, because he was actually stopping them from crossing Mexico once Trump went down there and threatened them and said he was going to cut all foreign aid.
Right.
And all of a sudden, because I remember I went down to Mexico and there was like a new police force, and I was like, hey, those are those guys that they created a new police force that was responsible basically for stopping the migration through Mexico. I wonder if we're still paying for that.
Well, I'm sure. Listen,
I want to know.
What are we not paying for?
I want to know.
At this point, bro, I just don't. I mean, think about it. We're paying, right? We're actually paying to fund somebody else's border, right, in Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
We're paying for that. Not only this, man, we're paying, right? We're paying anybody that comes in up to $10,000, right, with a nice gift card, right, and then. We're not only are we continually paying the inflation. What else can go wrong in this nation,
Damn, Alfred,
bro?
it sounds like you who has kids. You don't even get that much for your tax returns, and these people,
bro, I'm telling you, bro.
Or you,
Isaac
right?
and I,
Isaac
bro,
has kids, bro. It's like you wish you had you get that for your tax returns, but then you're like, hey, bro, I should be getting that amount, bro. You know,
bro. Listen,
Well, you don't have to say that. I'm just saying you don't have to say how much you get, but I don't know. I've heard some tax returns from families where they say you should get a lot more, but it sounds like illegal immigrants are getting more than what you get in your tax return.
Oh, 100%, bro. I'll just tell you, man. We this year, I mean, these last couple of years has been tough for us. I mean, for me, it's been a little bit on the high end, you know, manageable. But you know what? God is good, man.
Facts.
But in a sense, listen, let me. One of the other things that really, if you guys want something else, you know, just to throw a little bit more dirt into this whole border situation, man. Well, in the Dominican Republic, actually, there is a 12-foot wall that was built, bro, on the Dominican Republic to keep everybody out, bro, from between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And they patrol it, and it's actually there on Citizen Free Press, man. It talks about border walls work, right? And they show a perfect example of the Dominican Republic on how that 12-foot wall actually keeps people away from, you know, from their state or from their area, from their territory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just baffled. I mean, I don't want.
That one was crazy. But you know, getting back to Thomas Sowell and
yes, sir.
and the clip where he's talking about
you guys want to listen to the second part?
Yeah, listen to the one. But yeah, that's what he's talking about there, guys, and it goes along with the narrative. And what we're trying to encourage is to trust yourself. Believe in yourself. You know, we're not dumb people.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. No, thank you for clarifying that we're not dumb. At this point, bro, I think everybody should already know that, you know, we've been, you know, we were into the condition portion now, right? But for now, I think after all these conspiracy theories that are now true, right? Because they can't defund on the laptop, right? They can defund on the COVID stuff. They can defund on what's going on with the people dying suddenly, right? And nobody's looking at myocarditis, right? Everything's good, right? I mean, studies after studies. I mean, whatever. I don't think if something else like this happens, bro, I don't think it's going to happen through other COVID regulations, man. I don't know what else, you know?
Yeah.
How else? You guys want to listen to this video?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Play number 2, video number 214. Here we go.
Use a lot of solutions. And I argue here and elsewhere that there are no solutions. There are just trade-offs. So, for example, when Ralph Nader launched his attack against the Corvair many years ago, he said it's an unsafe car and it has these safety problems and those safety problems. And in some respects, he was correct, not all. But the fact is, there were other things that a Corvair would do that made it safer than other cars. And on net balance, it was as safe as the rest of them.
Are you saying there are no solutions to our problems as Americans?
There are no solutions to anybody's problems. There are trade-offs. Safety is a classic example. Every year, so many hundreds of thousands of people are vaccinated against measles, smallpox, those kinds of things. Now, this saves several hundred lives, it's estimated. It also causes brain damage to about 30 kids a year. Now, there are no solutions in that. There are just trade-offs.
Wow.
That's crazy.
1985, the origins of the woke.
Yeah, and I love Thomas Sowell because he really makes you think and ponder on things.
Logically, bro.
Because everybody, he the guy breaks narratives. So that what he's talking about there obviously is we hear these politicians proposing what they consider to be solutions, but the reality is there's only trade-offs. And the example he gives there is a perfect example when he talks about that vaccine for was it polio, right? I think it's polio where he says it
measles.
Was it measles?
Yeah, measles.
Yeah, I think it's a measles vaccine where he says it saves thousands of people, but you also get 30 kids that die from or get brain damage. 30
brain damage,
right? So so again, there's we talked about before is that every law that gets passed, there's a trade-off, right? You're giving up a freedom, so we got to weigh those options whenever something's being proposed.
Check out what they're giving.
What's the trade-off?
It's a trade-off. Well, in exchange, hey, we'll give you this, but you got to give me this.
Yeah, and one of the things we were talking about earlier before we got on, where it was, the president of Salvador, right? I believe
Bukele.
Bukele. How I believe he suspended parts of the Constitution, in order to round up all these guys and put them in jail.
Right.
Right, and that's kind of man. So if you ask yourself, are you willing to accept that trade-off? That's a hard one for me because, again, we were giving examples about, I think in Texas, they're talking, I believe that law the bill they're trying to pass, right? Is it would allow, it would allow police officers to basically profile, right? And find illegal immigrants and arrest them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I don't think I'm okay with that. I'd have to know more about it, kind of to see, because the trade-off there is, as a citizen, you could be walking down the street and your rights are being violated.
Well, I mean, this is the thing with me, right? On that one, like I said in the beginning, I don't fully agree to it too, because on that, like you said, but if you're a citizen, you'd be like, all right, bro, I have papers. Here's my ID. Go ahead, search me, my social security. But I think what people need to realize too is that why is it happening? That's where I say it's like this shouldn't be happening. If only someone would take care of the border.
Yeah, you close the border, we don't have to deal with it.
Right. Yeah.
That obviously that's the real solution.
Yeah. But I agree with you on
the real trade-off.
Yeah,
right?
I do agree with you on the profiling. It could lead to some things where it's like, all right, bro. But if you're a citizen, you cool, you Gucci. Why would they deport a citizen? You can't. Well, they can't deport a citizen, but.
But let me be a devil's advocate on this one. I mean,
let's hear it.
Well, think about it. You do understand that there's a problem, right, in Texas.
Facts. Yes.
You understand that people are coming in, and you're seeing the community being ravaged by not only violence, homelessness, right? All these services that for example, as we saw just over a month ago, we heard the mayor of Colorado saying that, hey, we're no longer going to take care of the parks, right, or the services, because we're going to realign certain funding towards the illegal immigration, right? So now we're starting to see how this affects certain communities or certain necessities within a community, right? Americans. So now I get it. I mean, I personally think about it. I've been profiled before. If I'm driving, if I ever get pulled over, right? Hey, I pulled you over because you did blah 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 blah, or you were on your phone. No, I wasn't. Blah blah blah. Okay, sorry, I misjudged you. Okay, let me see your license. Okay, cool. Here's your license. Nothing to hide, right? I have nothing to hide. Yeah. And I get it. Sometimes you can say, well, I don't know if I want every single individual to be profiled that way. I get it. But in a sense, again, I'm not trying to justify it, but the trade-offs, what he's talking about in any way, if you want to keep your your borders clean and your area clean from violence and homelessness and all this stuff, it's going to require somebody to come in and clean up. You know what I mean? So I mean, if it's happening here, and I'm getting, I mean, come on, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of all these businesses like California, right? We're seeing this video after video from people going in and ravaging, and it's completely different, right? Has nothing to do with, profiling, but again, implementing the law. I'm just saying, like, implementing the law, right? We wouldn't be in this situation if.
Yeah, but not every law not every law is actually constitutional. This is where we need to be careful, Alfred, because
100%.
It's again, we get put in these positions against September 11th, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Patriot Act. Everybody's in the same mindset. Oh, we got to do something about this, guys. We need to make this exception and go ahead and
not have another 9/11, basically.
Right, not have another 9/11. And had we had these policies, maybe it could have been prevented because they would have heard these guys on the phone, so
100%.
on and so forth. So here we have another situation. And again, I haven't read the bill. I don't know exactly what's in there, but I can think logically. How are you going to accomplish this without giving up certain rights? Even if it's a case of, hey, if you're walking down the street and you look like an illegal alien, well, what does that mean? I mean, I probably look like an illegal alien walking down the street.
Me too, bro. Me too.
So, again, with the trade-off, I don't know if it's worth it, but then again, how do we solve it? It's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm there with what you're saying.
This is, and you do have a point on that too, and I think like how he said, right, be careful with laws, because this is what I learned from the Constitution. If it violates this, then that law cannot go into effect.
I can assure you that law probably violates the Constitution.
Which one? SB 4?
I would assume so.
Well, no, I haven't read it. But supposedly, but it does make sense. It could violate the Civil Rights Act, actually. Because you can't discriminate. So
exactly.
Yeah. So
we're trading off something here. That do we really want to do that?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Okay. I'm thinking it too now, because it's like the way it's the law is saying, right? It's like, well, you kind of look like one, but it's like, wait, but I'm not. So why are you checking my stuff?
I shouldn't have to show you an ID.
Right,
I'm not going to be carrying my social security or my birth certificate with me.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to either.
Like if we're Nazi Germany or something. Yeah,
right,
well, I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. Like I said, it is good, but at the same time, it's bad because it's a bad trade-off. Now you're giving more power to government to say, well, can I see your papers? Maybe.
Do you want to set that precedent? Do you trust that they'll give it up after they've solved the problem?
Heck no.
See, this is where it gets tricky. And then, so what's your other option? Your option is you say, okay, well, you have to, wait till you have reasonable suspicion.
No,
so that really would probably be the right way to do it. But
100%.
then how do you deal with finding other illegals out there that are actually behaving themselves and not breaking crimes? So you might have people say, well, we should let them stay. Again, they broke a crime just by getting here. I mean, they broke a law just coming here illegally. That's already a crime. They're already a criminal by that simple fact.
Yeah, and all of this, what you're talking about, the Supreme, the stuff that we're reading, again, it doesn't talk about the SB4. It just says blatantly that it says Supreme Court allows Texas deportation law in Biden's, law. So it doesn't give you a lot of description. It just says like, hey, certain things, see, it's dead. It goes, continue reading, blah, blah, blah. So it just says that in the portion, it comes into... It's going to require it doesn't give you
the opinions are kind of long when they read,
exactly, and plus it doesn't give you the full context of the SB4.
But I do agree with you guys on that it sometimes those type of laws could be a trade-off. Like again, you're giving more.
They're all a trade-off. It's not they could be. They are a trade-off, and unfortunately, we get put in these positions where we're almost being pushed to accept giving up freedoms that we wouldn't do under any other circumstance.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I think I'm just gonna buy an island, bro, and make my own constitution.
So we got to be careful, guys, and like I said, you want to have a healthy distrust of government, and this is the thing about Democrats. They're super smart, man. They're always a step ahead. They don't quit. They stay together. They think they're farther ahead. They're 10 steps ahead of us all the time. So the way I look at this stuff, it's like it's almost, again, putting my tinfoil hat. I mean, is this to force us to give up more rights?
Yes.
I mean, it works out anyways. No matter how we look at it, if we don't do anything about it, these people stay. So this is get tricky because, guys, you know, when you talk about Trump coming in here and he's going to do mass deportation, which I want that, but how do we do that while preserving our rights?
You want me to be honest with you that it is scary, and this is just sorry, a theory because I got to stretch my back. The only way I think he's going to get mass deportation done, and it is scary, and I'm just saying it because that's the only way he could. I don't think that they're going to be able to catch it with states or catch people like that. Is with the military, martial law.
Either way, it doesn't.
Because you know why? Because,
I got you.
And I'm not saying I don't want that. Obviously, I'm not saying declare martial law. That's something right there. You got to be careful. But what I'm saying is that would be the only way for him to get that done, because a lot of states are not going to want to. And what will happen? These blue states are going to say, "Oh, they're after you. Come over here. Come over here. Come over here. Come to the blue states."
Yeah.
And what do you think happens? So I don't wish that to happen, because martial law is pretty dangerous, because whoever does it, you're basically going to eventually suspend the Constitution. And that's already a free-for-all, if you know what I mean. So I think just looking at it, that's the only way I think he has the possibility to do that. Martial law.
Because this is kind of a checkmate when you think about it.
Yeah, it's
and the Democrats made a move. It's checkmate. No matter what, they come up somehow.
Yeah,
do you see what I'm saying?
Then you're right.
So
eventually,
smart.
they're gonna say, "You see, look, he declared martial law. He wants to be a dictator. We told you guys."
Well, it's not just that though. I think you're missing the fact that
that's one of them.
Either we do nothing about it and they get their voter base, or we concede to giving up power to them and they lose their voter base, but they still come up. I don't know if you guys caught all this.
No.
I get it.
Hey, listen, I'm catching it. But look,
we just do a revolution.
They're so smart. They're so smart.
That's why, bro. That's why, bro. Like you said, listen. The politicians, bro, they're 2 or 3 steps ahead of the population. Okay, we're barely catching up on this. I was actually reading a little bit about it on the co-pilot. It says this: SB4, also known as the Show Me Your Papers law in Texas state law. That came into effect in September. So it was already a law, right? And it was put into place in September 1st, 2017. This law grants local police officers the authority to request proof of citizenship and inquire about the immigration status of anyone they detain. Essentially, it allows the state authorities to detain and potentially deport migrants who cross the U.S. southern border without authorization. The Biden administration has been challenged. Constitutionally, but the Supreme Court recently permitted the enforce of SB4 while the U.S. Court appeals the 5th District review. So listen, this was already in place. Okay. Right? They stopped it because, in a sense, Biden, came back and fought it and said, "Hey, no, we don't want people to be the same issues that you're talking about profiling." This is what they were doing since 2017, September 1st. Okay, so they stopped it. But now it just got thrown back because of the influx in the situation that they're currently.
Well, Alfred, having. I think the way you read that though, it seems like they're giving the authority to the police officers just hear me out. I don't think they're allowed to. It doesn't say they're allowed to profile. What it sounds to me like is if they stop somebody for a reasonable suspicion, let's say they ran a red light, then they can also inquire about their legal status. That I don't have a problem with.
Now that I think about it, it will be weird too, bro.
That's exactly what they're saying. And remember, Isaac, you and I.
But see, that's not profiling. So that's what I'm saying. Is it's not like they can drive. So what it sounds like to me, it's not like a cop patrolling, right?
Exactly.
And you're walking down the street, and it's like, hey,
here, let me stop you because you guys.
There looks like a Mexican guy.
No. Listen, this happens when you're. Let's say you and I, right? Yeah. I mean, you and I.
So I take everything else back. We could have saved 10 minutes of me ranting.
No. It's good because listen, we're learning about this, and plus, this was something that was already in play, right? This was already in there, but they stopped it because they say, hey, we don't want people to be questioned, right? For example, you and I know this, that back in 30 years ago, living in California, this is something that was already happening in California. Yeah. If you got pulled over, right, at 3 o'clock in the morning, why do you think you see the groups, right? Everybody that's in those groups, hey, checkpoint, First Street and blah, 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 right? You have these people that are already telling everybody, hey, don't drive through whatever street because
there's a checkpoint.
Yeah. They're making sure, right? And when you go through a checkpoint, all they're doing is making sure that you're not impaired, right? That you're driving well, that you're not drunk, right? Because the checkpoints usually come after 11 or 12 in the morning, right? Or 1 a.m.
Yeah,
in the
they used
morning.
to be, yeah.
Used to be, right?
Yeah.
Man.
But that
But-
went away because it was unconstitutional.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
of course, but
They stopped
but they stopped it, right?
Wait, which ones? Checkpoints?
yeah,
yeah, the checkpoints
That's why
here
they
in
don't do it
California.
anymore in California.
Oh, they used to do them. Huh? I
Oh no,
remember
they
that.
do it in Santa Ana. They still do it in Santa Ana.
Really?
Here. Yeah, they
I
do
haven't
it.
seen
I
them.
thought- I
I used
thought
to remember
that-
they used to do them in LA.
No, I see all the time. I'm in a group. Shout out to the folks over there in Santa Ana. They know who I'm talking about. They're in a group and they're constantly saying, "Hey, checkpoint on so and so on Fairview and First
I
Street."
should go and just check them out and be like, yeah, officer. I
Yeah,
only
so
have-
that sounds like kind of what I was saying. The only other option would be something like that, where they're being stopped for reasonable suspicion of different crime. But you're not going to catch everyone, right? Because
You-
they
of
have
course
to
not.
commit a crime. So, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. But the reality is, the mass deportation. It's these. I would say millions of these people, or thousands and thousands, I should say, are going to be here for years and years.
True.
You're not.
No,
You're
no,
not. You're not
100%.
going to catch them.
Hey, listen, 100%. And I
That's the
think,
run, but-
and I think we were part of that, right? The initial, right? Remember back in 1986, the amnesty, a lot of people stayed and they went in through the Ronald Reagan amnesty, 1986. Think about it. We came in 1983, right? 3-4 years, submitted the paperwork, 5 years, right? Waited. So we understand the process now. And I think that for the most part, I think that's one of the things that some of our people don't understand, that, hey, listen, just do the process. Golly, like, God, yeah, you're going to wait. Yeah, and by the way, the processes were created by that party that you support. You know what I mean? These are the people that does not want to allow certain policies to be implemented for a faster process, right?
Yeah.
Remember, we
They
talked
want
about
you to
this.
be illegal.
They want you to be
sad,
because
bro.
because they fully take advantage of what?
Yeah.
Your services. Right? They say, hey,
Exploitation. That's what it is.
Exploitation.
Exploitation. They want you to work. They're not going to pay you the minimum wage. If
Right.
you had a business, let's just be a hypothetical, and I was an illegal immigrant, and you're supposed to pay a citizen $15 an hour. You think you're going to be paying me $15 an hour, even though
He
I
doesn't
don't
have
have to. You're
paper.
illegal.
right?
I don't have to. Right? You don't have no
Exploitation,
accountability.
ladies and gentlemen, of our people.
Yeah.
But this is what you guys vote and want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's what I'm getting at right here. It just says, hey, SB, while the U.S. court appeals through the Fifth Circuit. So I'm just thinking like, hey, they're implementing a law that they already had, right? It was contested by Joe Biden because, again, we were afraid of that profiling, right? It's
Right.
unconstitutional. But in a sense, I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah, in this case, I think it's fine if that's the case where they're just allowed to check for citizenship if you're stopping somebody for reasonable suspicion,
Or you commit
different
a crime.
or you commit a crime. Yes.
Broken lights.
Right.
Hey, are you speeding?
Right.
And it's 2 a.m. in the morning. You're half drunk. Come on now.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're not playing games out here, bro.
Yeah.
No, I'm just playing.
yeah, but hey, but this is why we have to have these discussions, man. It's so good. Hey, back to that conversation about Thomas Sowell, man. I think we left off on the portion where it says, trust ourselves. I think you mentioned it.
He was talking about trade-offs and how there's no solutions. There's only trade-offs, right? And that's just the fact, and that's in every law, and that's what we were talking about before. Is anytime you a law is passed, you're giving up a freedom, and that's what we're talking about. That's kind of what led us down this path. Is that when you look at how do we solve this problem or find a solution, there really isn't a solution. There's a trade-off because, again, using the example we were just discussing, if you're going to allow the government to say racially profile, or even in this case where, now in Texas, you can get stopped for something, and now you're going to, rather than the normal right now, you just get your ID and what have you. Now it can go even further where you're like, okay, now I got to show proof of my citizenship, right? So that's the trade-off now. It's like, okay, well, in order, now it's more inconvenient. I might want to, have my birth certificate in the car with me in case I get pulled over.
Crazy. Now that I think about it, Isaac got me questioning this, bro. Like, I remember you take Social Security and birth certificate to jobs. Now it's like, I'm in Texas. Here, officer, here's my birth certificate.
Well, yeah, I mean, unless if you don't have it with you, then I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, do they go home with you and then you got to go get it? So regardless, the point being here is that it's a trade-off.
it's a trade-off,
Right?
It's a
It's
trade-off.
He's got to give.
Yeah,
It's got to give.
a
But
trade-off.
listen, so what's? I mean, at the end, man, we come back to the question, right? And I think that's one of the questions we always ask. Hey, we wouldn't be in this predicament if the Constitution would have been implemented, right? If laws
Upheld.
would have been if the laws,
if the border was secured, we wouldn't be dealing with this at all.
we wouldn't like this conversation's here, and this is the other conversation that we could have with other Latinos, right? When they're saying, "Oh, you guys hate Mexicans because they're coming here. You came illegally. Now you hate them." No, we don't. Listen, we don't. What we're trying to tell you is like there's a problem here. There's a problem in where our people are fully taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And how is that? They have the American dream. Of course they do. But now wherever they work, they'll get paid cheaper labor, right?
More hours
They'll be
to
working
work.
more hours of work because now high inflation, high taxes. What are they gonna? Are you okay with them sleeping under a bridge?
Bro, it sounds like slavery, bro.
They need to get into a home, and now the houses and the apartments of 2,500.
Bro, you seen in New
know what I'm
York
saying?
how much? There was a guy making a video of how much he's renting out a small room that just has a window, and it's literally like smaller than a big bedroom, bro. He's paying $1,400 for that thing.
Imagine
A door and a window.
So
Bro,
Alfred, if we
not
go-
even a restroom, bro.
if we go back and see like who really gets the shafted on this, right?
The end of the stick.
The end of the short end of the stick is, again, it's our people. Even those DACA kids that everybody
Yes,
loves,
sir.
right?
Yeah, look.
Now, what's going to happen now? All those DACA kids have been here for 20 years, 25 years living in Texas. Guess what? Now
They're at the end of
now
the-
because of all these guys that are coming in here. You were cool. You were cool, right? You've been here for 20 years. You were driving around. You got stopped. You ran a red light. No problem. They didn't check for you, nothing. But now, because of what's going on, now this law gets passed, and guess what? You better have your P's and Q's,
Bro,
right?
You better- hey.
No, imagine, bro. One of them is speeding outside of the college, bro, and they get stopped.
No,
They're like,
I mean,
"Oh,
again,
my
this
God."
is just now, who are the ones that are going to pay the
Our people.
consequences?
Our people.
Man, we went too far. We went too far, guys.
And last thing. Isaac and Alfred, think about this. Texas just got the green light to do this, the only state. What do you think is going to happen in these other red states?
Well, yeah, they're going to do it. And then, we go back again when we're talking about the Tyson food jobs, right?
Yeah.
Who's losing those jobs, right? Sure, a lot of Latinos work at Tyson Foods that aren't going to be working there for longer. You're going to get some Somali guy or some, I don't know, Chinese guy that's going to take your job.
And the funny part is they've been there for 20 years and they're going to
Yeah,
train them, bro.
we're going to go down over to Central California and let's see who's working out there in 6 months.
Damn,
Bro, I'll tell you this much, bro. I'll tell you this much. It gets me upset because listen, I go to my favorite store, right?
Right.
A shout out to that store and knows where it is. So I get there, bro, and I'm talking to my peeps, right? I already know them for years. Been going there. I happen to go on a Sunday, and then all of a sudden, all my peeps are gone, bro. All my peeps are gone. We have brand new Venezuelans there. All of them, all from Venezuela, all speaking alike. And the reason why I say that is because I asked them.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, what happened to all the peeps?
Yeah.
Like all of you guys are all from Venezuela? They're like, yeah, we're all from Venezuela.
Yep.
And
Yeah, and all you DACA people and visa overstayers that were in the front of the line, you're now in the middle of the line. It's just
Went from front to back real quick,
yeah.
bro.
I mean, Trump had your back.
yeah,
Now he's like, I can't do it. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm all, and like Isaac said, bro, now that I think about it, bro, these DACA recipients, bro, y'all are going to be the most, and it's funny because not because I'm laughing at you, but because this is what you guys side with. And now the own people, because of your own political party, now you're going to be racially profiled. And sadly, you could be deported, bro.
Yeah.
Think about that, because this is who you want, Biden, who is letting this happen. And guess what? The red states are not going to put up with it. Well, that red state is not. But like I told Isaac earlier, next red states are going to do is be like, oh, well, can Texas do it? Shoot, let's do that too.
And it's not racist policies, guys. So this is not about racism. This is because obviously our country has the right to protect itself and protect its own borders. I mean, Mexico would. If these people didn't just run right through there, if they were just passing through, they wouldn't let them come in.
That's right.
Right? They know they're just passing through. It's not like these guys are hanging out. You know, they know that at some point they're moving on and they're going to end up over here. You know, and if anything, you know, when you go to Mexico, they're actually very racist to those migrants.
No, bro, think about it.
They're super racist.
No, 100%, bro.
When I was down there, I was at a taco stand and I saw two of them standing there, and the guy was cool. You know, he asked me, "Hey man, you know, I'm hungry. I'll get you a taco." I got him a taco. My cousins got upset. My mom was pissed off because I bought them some tacos.
What did they say? I wonder because they always say that. And you know how some liberals, Latino liberals, they say no, the only racist are the white people. But what did they say when they see that other migrant that wasn't from Mexico? Like, what did they say that you bought them a taco? What was their reaction?
Oh no, yeah. ¿Para qué les andas comprando esas cosas? Es gente aquí nomás está, you know, pidiendo cosas. Y I'm like, all right. You know, I actually didn't really think about it at first. It's not when I walked out.
You're like, wait.
I thought they were just, you know, like poor Mexicans.
But then they
and not until I heard the accent, and then I got all kinds of grief over it. I was like, oh, okay, my bad. Dang. You know, I didn't know they were illegals that are just passing through. Yeah.
Oh. Your own family was like, "Hey, bro, don't buy them."
Yeah,
like,
Well, dude, it's kind of like, bro, come on, it's kind of like us. I mean, think about it. We're at our home.
So
right?
You know, the hypocrisy though is what I'm trying to call out here, right?
Yeah,
exactly. No, I was gonna say like, hey, we sometimes can get tired of it too. We have homelessness, right?
Yeah.
Out of control. I mean, I have to walk with my dog. I mean, with my kids, I gotta be in protective mode because I don't know who's gonna pop out of nowhere, bro, with somebody with a mental state. I mean, that's happening. That's what's happening in Mexico. So I understand.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hey, listen, before we go, one little thing, man. Hey, what did you guys think about that bloodbath hoax? I mean, Isaac, I don't know if you heard about it, right?
There's a video that I even have to.
You have, right? So this thing right here, the bloodbath, right? We just had again the parrot media, right? Just all of a sudden, bro. Trump is on a rally talking about it, right? He's talking to the automotive industry, having a discussion, right? Telling them, you know, telling the automotive industry in regards to what's happening with, you know, if this happens, if, you know, if we don't protect not only the job, the production of the motor industry, you know, soon enough it's going to be sold to China, and China will be putting plants in Mexico. And, you know, after they put the plants, what's going to happen? Some of the vehicles will be much cheaper, right? So some of this stuff will be, moving in from China at a much cheaper price. Right. Affecting the automobile industry, and he literally says bloodbath, right?
So it was about cars.
Well,
it was nothing to do with anything else. It was just about the business of cars.
Well, he was talking about, he was giving he was actually speaking to the automobile industry, right?
Yeah,
right. Saying in regards to the production,
business, yes. And he was just saying the predictions that it was leading to. That was it.
100%.
It was he's referring to the car market.
Good old media.
And it happens all the time. Well, you know, when the stock market goes down and it tumbles, right? What do they say? Oh, it's a bloodbath, right? Or it's going to be a bloodbath. Or these interest rates go up, it's going to be a bloodbath. So, you know, the good thing is the difference now is that Elon Musk bought Twitter, X. So one of the cool things is apparently somebody created a bloodbath hashtag.
Oh, I seen it.
Right. And so now when you hashtag the bloodbath, I guess it takes people to
when the media said it.
The media says it. Right. So it's really cool because, you know, if Twitter was still the Twitter of old.
Oh my goodness!
Then
don't even remind me, bro.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
Yeah, we would have no way to fight that narrative. But what's great about it is that immediately once that happened, it gets nipped in the butt because now, you know, Twitter is actually not some liberal
owned by liberals, basically.
Owned by liberals,
Peter
right?
Ducey or whatever his name. Peter Ducey or something like the guy that sold it.
Yeah, so now you know.
Shout out to Elon Musk.
You're
watching this, bro.
Yeah, so thanks, where will we be now? And that's what's great is that people are now allowed to voice their opinions. They're not getting blocked, censored, or censored, and therefore we can push back on these narratives. Anybody with any kind of sense would understand that. But you know, you still have those people. That's the thing. You know, you have people that are really going to believe that Trump is talking about a bloodbath. You know,
big time, and they cut it out of context. They cut it out of context. We've seen this before, and the reason why we wanted to touch on it is because it's going around, and people see it and they catch it. Bloodbath. Oh, Trump said it. Oh, okay, then that's true. See, that's the gullible ones, right?
Alfred Dictator.
Yeah, the gullible ones, right? Those are the ones that we gotta really just bring them and say, hey, boom, look at, hey, catch it right away, right? So. I don't know, man. Let's keep fighting the good fight. I think there's a lot more stuff happening, man. Get ready. Hey, I also wanted to touch a little bit about the the percentages. And Isaac just shut me down really quick. Thank you, Isaac. Because he said, well, it doesn't matter if they drop, 5%. If they drop 5%, they're still bringing 10 million. And I was like, oh, you're right.
What's up? You guys hear that?
Yeah.
It started already.
Oh yeah. No. We got the.
Man.
We're next to Disneyland, and we're hear the. But yeah, he was like straight out. He says, "Bro, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the numbers. You know, I mean, if you're looking at the percentages, about 5%. Well, they got 10 million that they're just gonna bring in, so it balances out, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we'll see what happens, fellas.
We'll see. We'll keep y'all posted as always. But go ahead,
Alfred. Posted, man. Hey, thank you so much, everyone, man. We had a good time here, man. Horchata time, an hour and 44 minutes, man. These guys are awesome. Hey, we're gonna let you guys go because right now we're gonna go out there and watch the fireworks at the Anaheim, at the Disney. We're across the street from it. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys here. Hopefully, a shout out to Alex. Alex, thank you so much, brother. We'll see you here in the next episode. And stay safe, man. God bless you guys. Take care.
God bless you all.
Take care.